How are you? Congratulations for the new album.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yeah, we're having we're loving it, man. We're loving playing live. It's been really really fun.
Oh yeah, you are already. I read that you are already on tour, and I was wondering why you started the tour before the album release date.
Uh, we have a new booking agent, and they're really raring to go. And we, a lot of it is because we haven't been able to tour for so long. And we tried touring last year, and I got COVID, and Dan got COVID, and uh, so I think we just want to play. We're just at that point where we really just want to play. So, kind of, and it's been fun because we're doing some smaller towns out here. We're in New Hampshire today, and Rhode Island tomorrow, and so it's kind of we're getting to see some places that we haven't been before. So yeah.
And how is the public receiving the new songs? Are they liking it? Or?
Seems great. Yeah, they've Holiday and Gunfluff were already released, so you can tell that they recognize those, and it seems like the younger kids in the audience get really excited about the brand new songs. So because I think for them, they might have just discovered Helmet like a year ago. I mean, they're like some of these kids are 12, 13, 14 years old, so it's really cool to see.
Well, that's impressive that you have so young people, because actually some question that I've done in some interviews is that when I go to see rock bands, mostly all the public is like 35, 40 up above, and there's no way.
Yeah, it's cool. It's actually really it's kind of exciting because I'm like, we have always played clubs, and a lot of them are 21 and over or 18 and over, and I'm seeing all these shows with our new agent are all ages, so I'm just seeing all these kids, and it's great. I mean, that it's kind of I feel like it's a bit of a testament to the fact that our music is held up, very well for 34 years or whatever. Like that the kids see it, it's honest, and they're they might have discovered, System of a Down or Korn or some band, and then said, oh, that came from, a Helmet influence or whatever. So I appreciate it. It's kind of like when I was a kid, the same thing. I would hear some, artist, and then I would go explore and try to find more music by that artist, whether it was Bill Evans or Wes Montgomery or Grant Green or, Miles Davis or whoever it was, So I think that's kind of, for these kids, this is that for them,
Yeah, I was thinking, do you think, because I think the album that sold most copies, I think it was Meantime, which was, I think, the second album. And do you think these new generations are hearing about you guys because of their parents used to listen to the music, or because of the social media or movies that you have been playing in? Or
no idea. Probably both, maybe. I have seen a lot of parents with their kids, which is pretty cool. So that's a part of it, but also I think kids are more connected, worldwide these days, so they can kind of follow what you do. And I'm guilty of not being very active in social media because I'm a guitar player, singer, writer, first, and I'm not a promoter. I mean, there are a lot of bands doing, in my opinion, uninteresting music, but they're really good on social media.
Oh yeah, that's always happened.
Yeah,
Public relations always happened.
Yeah. It's like they spend more time, trying to crank out bullshit every day than to maybe they should work on their songs a little bit.
Yeah, well, I think that back in the old days, it used to be like the public relation guys that would sell things, but now with the social media, it's like a huge public relations way of selling.
Yeah, it's funny, right? it's I don't know. I have friends that do that Instagram and all that kind of stuff, and it's just funny. I'm like, yeah, I'm having coffee and listening to Rush. Okay, like, why do I care? Like, it's like,
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, I think there's also videos of people that is listening to a song, and the video is like how they react to the song, and it's like, okay,
I know exactly. Yeah, it's weird. It's very weird, like very weird era. I
yeah,
never, I, I never really, I never want to get. I don't want my private, personal life to get attention. You know what I mean? I'm on stage. I'm going to play for an hour and a half, 2 hours. I'll interact with the fans as much as I can um, live, but I don't want somebody in my living room or like what I mean.
yeah.
Here's me listening to John Coltrane. Like
Oh, yeah.
whatever. Let's see what they say.
Yeah, you're mentioning a lot jazz, and I was gonna ask you later about that. For me, it's very very curious and funny to see a jazz player playing with a rock band so
Yeah, yeah.
raw and hard, and how do you manage both worlds?
I'm just gonna tell him let Jordy.
Yeah.
I'm just telling Hagen to let you know that he wants me to in 15 minutes do the last interview before sound check. So we have. Is that cool? 15.
Yeah, yeah, okay. You let me know. It's okay. Yeah, yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Where are you, by the way?
I'm in Spain, in Madrid.
Oh, I'm jealous. Oh,
Well, you come to play here, so we'll come to see you.
yeah. Good, good, good. Ah, man, I love that. That's one of my soul cities. That's like I in 1992 when before Meantime came out, I was playing with Glenn Branca, and we played in Sevilla, Seville, whatever we call it, for the World's Fair, and then I had a press tour. Like so, I had to go fly around to all the cities in Europe, like Amsterdam and Berlin and Madrid and stuff, and do interviews all day in a hotel room. And I decided at the end, I'm going to treat myself to 3 days in Madrid. And I stayed. I'll never forget. I stayed at the Hotel Asturias because it was walking distance to the to the museum and Prado. And I wake up, have amazing coffee and a pastry, walk to the Prado, spend a couple hours, then go out, have lunch at the Prado, and then spend a few more hours, and spend 3 days like that. Go out at night, hear amazing music. Like it was one of the most beautiful 3 or 4 days ever. So it's like Madrid. I always try to tell my girlfriend, like, Barcelona is beautiful, it really is, but there's something about Madrid that it's always kind of been I don't know, my vibe. I just feel like it's a
Well,
good
I'm from
city.
Barcelona, but live in Madrid, so I all
Yeah,
both cities. So
so so you love them both.
yeah,
Yeah. Me too, man. I don't know. Madrid was a place that just kind of, I don't know. It's really, really connected. I've been trying to learn Spanish on an app, but I'm terrible. So it's like, it's
well,
idiot.
you will someday. I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
you seem like so prolific because you do so many things, like composing for movies, for jazz, for rock, and actually,
yeah,
I was wondering why it took so long, like from the last album to this one.
yeah. I don't know. I mean, I kind of got. I was talking to her about this earlier. Like, I was one of those people that was not super productive during the pandemic. Like, we were on a roll. The band had just done 60 shows, 30 in Europe, 30 in the US. The band was just cooking, and we were going to go to Australia, New Zealand, Japan, and then South America in 2020. And that all got blown out, obviously. And I just kind of went into a funk where I never left the house, and I just drank beer and played jazz guitar all day. And I don't know, I was kind of didn't really know what was going to happen with the band, touring or an album or whatever. And finally, when our new booking agent said, we need a new album, I was like, great. and the label's like, great. And the manager's like, great. Everybody's like, great, write a new album. So I wrote an orchestra piece for the high school in Memphis called Christian Brothers. It's the oldest high school orchestra in America. And I delivered that February 6th, and then started the Helmet album. So I dug right in. So we have 3 months off, so I don't know what I'm going to write. I'm going to write something. I can't stop writing now because I have a really good groove going. It was really fun. And the team of people we put together was really great. Jim Kaufman was the co-producer, and my friend Mark.
Nice. Yeah, and I was thinking, because the band over the years have changed a lot of musicians, and basically you are the one that created it, and you are the leader of the band, and it's your project. How does it affect having changed musicians in the way you wrote for the band, or it didn't affect at all?
You mean like personnel changes and how that influences your writing?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, when you compose, you have different musicians. Do you compose different, or you just do the songs as you would do it?
Yeah, I just do them. I just do I just write. I write. Part of what I do when I'm, I've been teaching, and a lot of my students it's songwriting. They want help on their songs, and we've all done it where you put this part together with this part, or string riffs together, or whatever. But that's not sound. That's not a sound way to write. You should develop ideas. So it's like a conversation. The example I always bring up is Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. It's like bum 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 bum, that rhythmic figure, and and that I find that when you listen actively to that music and you figure things out and like think conversationally, that your songwriting will flow in that way. Like there's a song on the new album called Dislocated, and the starts on the chorus riff, which is and in the bridge I completely changed the key and the chords and have these cool octave fourth chords, and it's like so it's that that rhythm figure is developed. We're halfway through, we're in the middle of the song, we develop that idea, and that's I think it, if you listen to Wes Montgomery playing a jazz guitar solo, he's developing ideas like that. If you listen to Charlie Parker, he's developing an idea, and I think that's important, as far as writing. So these songs just kind of poured out. I'm really, knock on wood, hopefully the next album will come, flow like this.
Well, actually, you're mentioning like motivic development and classic musical, developments for composition that are very old. But how different is when you write for like an orchestral thing or Helmet? Because Helmet, you have like very powerful riffs. So I don't know if you use a lot guitar for Helmet, and when you write classical orchestral, it's completely different. How do you do?
It's interesting because the band director at the high school in Memphis knows me because of Helmet. He broke his nose at a Helmet show in like 1995 or something, and so I've known him because his nose, I'd see him at a show in Chicago or wherever. He lives in Memphis, but he'd come to Chicago, he'd come to St. Louis, he'd come to and he was like, God, it's really interesting. This is a piece for brass woodwinds, 52-piece orchestra, so it's brass woodwinds, 2 upright basses, and I think I had 6 or 7 percussionists. And he's like, it still sounds like you. It's like, well, it's still my harmonic, ideas, and it's still my rhythmic ideas. I mean, it's the exact same language. It's the exact same vocabulary, but a different language. A little bit. So it's like, ba 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 ba. That's a melodic motif. If I write ba da 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 da, da 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 da. It's a rhythmic motif, and when you're writing an orchestra piece, it's the same kind of thing. You're going to come up with some kind of rhythmic melodic motif, and that's so it's the same in a lot of ways. Actually, that piece that I wrote for the orchestra started as a guitar piece.
Oh, cool.
I had and I was like, ooh, how can I do that ham-fisted, chunky guitar, metal guitar thing with brass? And it was like, that is super cool. So like I write on a keyboard mostly with orchestral samples, like I have strings, I have a full sample library. So I can get a feel for how it's gonna kind of sound. I mean, it's not a real orchestra, but it's as close as you can get. And it still comes down to writing a good, interesting rhythmic and melodic and harmonic passage. I mean, melody. I said my teacher Gary Hagberg would say, it's melody, harmony, rhythm, form, and text. Mm-hmm. So your melody, your chords, the rhythmic figures you're using, the structure, form, and text, the words. That's a Mozart aria. That's a Slayer song. Mm-hmm. Exact same 5 things. So you pay attention to all how it all works together. That's it's still music. I mean, I listen to everything from Thelonious Monk, John Coltrane, Joe Henderson to Bob Marley, the Beatles, AC/DC, to a lesser extent Slayer or whatever. I mean, I did it. I've gone through phases where I was like, I really like Slayer for about a month, and it's fun. It's fun. Good music is good music. I mean, that's what I love. Yeah.
And you work with composer Elliot Goldenthal, which he's a great composer of soundtracks. How was working with him, and how much have you learned from him? Because it must be incredible.
He's like I consider Elliot to be a genius, and I love him. Like I feel like he's kind of like one of my musical big brothers. Him and his producer T. Skoll and Elliot's wife Julie Taymor, who directed The Lion King, and she did Across the Universe, Titus. I did what's the other Shakespeare thing we did? Titus and the Tempest. And I feel very honored to get to work with them. I haven't worked with them for years, but because I moved to LA and it's kind of harder for them now. And I've got a much better guitar player in New York by the name of Mark Stewart. He's Paul Simon's musical director. He's a monster. He plays cello, he plays woodwinds, he plays guitar, he can sight read anything. He invents instruments out of PVC piping. He's just a freak. He's an absolute, So if they want my particular sound, they'll bring me in. I did a gig in Poland with them for the Shakespeare thing, and it was amazing. But yeah, Elliot's I learned a lot from him. He's kind of the one that got me into writing for the orchestra. And he was like, he said your guitar playing is very orchestral, and the sounds you get, and think about a distorted electric guitar. It's a string instrument, and a cello. Those notes are kind of distorted, right? A cello,
yeah,
a clean cello. It's got a fuzz. It's got a kind of distorted, and then so a clean electric guitar is more percussive. A distorted electric guitar is more sustained, like a string instrument. Mm-hmm. So it's I learned a lot from Elliot. He gave me a bow. I have it. I used it on the new album on the song Makeup. So I played bowed guitar. I actually did a couple little videos, but they wouldn't let me release it because the album isn't out yet or some shit. I'm like, oh, come on, man. Just let me put it out.
Mm-hmm. Actually, you play jazz and you play like metal or alternative metal, whatever you want to name it. But most rock guitarists have like a lot of influence in blues. I mean, I can tell a lot of classic rock. And you were mentioning you've listened to Beatles and Bob Marley, whatever. So you listen a lot, but your style is not very blues oriented. I don't feel it. So I would like to know, How did you learn to play guitar, and which guitarist would you listen? How did you started playing? How was your
Boy,
background?
well, I wanted a guitar because of Led Zeppelin. So I the first album I got was Led Zeppelin 4. The one was Stairway to Heaven. I bought it because it was I liked the album cover. That old man with the bundle of sticks. And I saw it at Payless drugstores. It was probably $3 or something. Uh, and I traded for Christmas that year. I got 2 copies of A Night on the Town by Rod Stewart. That was the big hit at the time. And so I took the second copy back to Payless and traded it for Led Zeppelin. And I got home and I put the record on my crappy record player. And it starts off with Black Dog. And I just was like, what is this? Like, what is this? I didn't know anything about chords. I didn't know anything about music. I knew about vibe. And that vibe was so fucking powerful. I was just like, it took me someplace. It created this world, this musical world. So many people get impressed by quote unquote musicianship. Wow, he's got incredible technical facility. I'm like, where is he going? He or she, where are they going with it? Is it technique for the sake of technique? Oh, no thanks. Doesn't do it for me. I mean, as a guitarist, for 15 minutes, I can be like, wow, this guy can really get around the fretboard. That's really great. Are you going to say anything? Are you going to communicate anything from here? Mozart, said music is, ear, brain, and heart. You need all 3 of those to make a great song, to be a great musician. And I'm more heart than anything. My brain, I'm a half jackass. I can barely express myself, and I'm like, my technique is okay. I practice and I can play some fast stuff, but I'm not a shredder. But my solos are part of a musical statement. I mean, the solo is supposed to do something. I always loved Rick Nielsen from Cheap Trick. Not a technically amazing guitarist, but when he plays a solo, he jumps out for 8 measures, boom, and he hits you with this solo, and it's like, yeah. Or the Stooges, Raw Power, like those solos, like they jump out and punch you in the face, and it's like that to me is, I need that. I need that kind of raw energy and that excitement in music. And that's why I love everything, from Coltrane to Thelonious Monk to AC/DC and the Beatles. I just think it's not all music is going to connect with all people, and I never made that a goal of mine.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah, well, actually, today it's true. There's a lot of guys with huge technique playing. They play very fast, but for me, it's much more difficult. I saw some videos of you playing chord solos, jazz chord solos, and I think that's much more difficult to do that.
Yeah, it's a different kind of difficult. Like I love chord melody. I wake up every day, and that's kind of what I work on. And I'm working on an album that now I hope to do next year. 2 albums. One is a solo album, and then the other is a jazz. Finally might do my jazz fantasy. Like I have like a dozen standards that I've transposed into keys that work for my voice, and songs that mean a lot to me. And so those things. I feel like there's a great Howard Roberts. He's the guy that started Guitar Institute of Technology in Hollywood, and it's now Musicians Institute. He was my mentor's mentor. They wrote a guitar educational series called the Guitar Compendium. Howard has this great exercise. I call it the Zen harmonic gravity exercise, where you play random notes on the fretboard. You can't play 2 notes on the same string in a row, and you just play the note. You play it. You connect with the note and just like play the next note. Slow. All over the fretboard. Slow down. listen to the note, listen to the overtones, listen to the music. It's this music in that. And that's like something I think so many people, they don't hear that other level of music. You know, they're hearing like they can see the front of the house, but they can't open the fucking door and get in and get, you know, what's really, you know, it's what music does, you know, you know what I mean? It connects.
Yeah,
it's here.
I studied with Mick Goodrick when I was in Boston, and he had this kind of same different.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I was at Berkeley, and I had like a guitar lab with him, and he would put these kind of exercises, like playing like first string and fourth string with eyes closed, you know, and
he is one of my all-time, like, fucking, in passing, is that I try to play summer band camp all the time. Man, that's what a gift. How lucky were you, man? That's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow.
When I see you in Madrid, we talk about that, because I studied with Wayne
Yes.
Kranz too, and Wayne Kranz was he changed my way of playing guitar. I like
Incredible.
guitar. Yeah. So
Wow.
but,
Well, Jordy, I
yeah.
better jump. I got this one more interview, I think, before
Okay.
sound check. So it's so great to speak with you, and we will see you in Madrid.
Yeah,
Can you email track me down or whatever?
Yeah, don't worry. I think I probably will be able to get booked an interview with you in Madrid. So don't worry. We'll do an interview
Continue.
here.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you so much.
All right. See you, brother.
Take
Bye.
care.
Bye.